Well, hello. If I seem a little frustrated, it's only because I just recorded the blog in its entirety, only to have it quit. And I'm not sure exactly why that happened. I need to find out, obviously. However, uh, we'll keep going in the meantime. This is July 23rd. It's a Tuesday. It is journal number, 117, which means that it's T+112. What I talked about, past tense, because I already finished the blog, was an experience that Lesley and I had today. It has to do with culture, it has to do with service, it has to do with leadership and management, caring, attentiveness, and I'll wrap that around with regard to my illness, because I think that there's a corollary there when we get a little bit further along. It has to do with my wife's feet, with Lesley's feet. Lesley has very narrow feet. It's almost like she's walking on razor blades, almost like she's ice skating. And she's very hard to fit as a result, and that makes it very difficult, very frustrating, very stress-filled for her to go shoe shopping. While we were still living in the hotel in Azusa, we tried to find shoes for her in the west, the Plaza West Covina Mall, which is a nice little mall. And in that mall there's a shoe store. It's part of a chain store. In the last blog I mentioned the name, but I won't do that again. We went into the store, and it's a store that we have history with. It's a store that we've used before. It's a store that's been able to take care of my wife's needs. We went into the store. It was early mid-morning. The store, actually, it was probably closer to lunch. The store was empty. There were two associates there holding up a counter. I'm sure it was going to collapse. It would probably fall down had they not been holding it up, leaning against it so it wouldn't move. They had it in place. They had it solidly locked in place. And Lesley walked in and she looked around. She saw a shoe that she liked. Actually, she saw more than one. And she asked the infamous question that is guaranteed to go ahead and give her agita, indigestion. And that is, do you carry narrows? Do you carry this in a narrow size? At first, neither of the two associates looked to see where the voice had come from. At first, neither of the two acknowledged that we'd entered the store. Finally, one of the two looked over his shoulder and said, no. Like, stop annoying me, please get out. Can't you see I'm in the middle of a conversation with a friend? Go away, don't come back. That's certainly the way we felt, and those, we took him at his word, and we went ahead and left, shoeless. Like Joe Jackson, we were shoeless when we left the mall. A lot of time has gone by. We've since been released. It's only a few days. There's another store that belongs to that chain, or that's an outlet for that chain, that's out here in Westlake. We've purchased shoes before from this outlet. Lesley decided that we were going to try this morning. Now, recognize that I leave the house, I put on surgical gloves, I put on a big floppy hat, I'm slathered up in suntan lotion, and I wear a mask. So I'm kind of a vision. It's pretty obvious that somebody who took me out for anything would be serious about whatever it was they had set out to do. So Lesley walked in, she looked around, she found shoes that she liked, she went over and she was looking at the shoes, and there was a young man in the store. They had just opened, there was only one associate there. Everybody looks young to me these days, so I can't tell you what his age was, but he's what Lesley and I lovingly refer to as a puppy. came walking over, and Lesley asked that question, that really aggravating question: do these come in narrow sizes? And at first we thought we were stuck with the same kind of mindset, because his first answer was no. And then there was a pause. And after just a few seconds, he turned around and he says, but these shoes, although they don't come in narrow sizes, are cut narrow. So why don't you let me see what we have in the back that might fit you? 2 stores, same company, 3 different associates, 1 completely different reaction. And Lesley walked out of that place with 2 pairs of shoes. And if you know anything about ladies' shoes, they're not inexpensive. So it was a good morning for him. The day started off right. He had a nice sale on his hands. And that worked out well. What the hell has that got to do with the blog, which is started primarily to chronicle my journey through all of, the treatment and recovery associated with my disease, with primary myelofibrosis and the stem cell bone marrow transplant. But, in a way, it has a lot to do with that. Primarily because it has to do with management, leadership, culture, values, principles, and the experience we had and continue to have at the City of Hope, both as an inpatient for a substantial length of time and then as a clinic outpatient. And in every test and experience we've had subsequently, from the custodian who sweeps the floor and washes the floor, to the people who clean the bathrooms in your inpatient room, to the nurses' aides, to the nurses, to the doctors, to the entire staff, x-ray technicians, cardio techs, pulmonary techs, you name it. I have yet to have a bad experience there, and I've been going there for almost 6 years, 5.5 years. And I was really sick for a part of that time. I mean, really, really sick. And it's something that you notice. I mean, you have plenty of time to think about stuff while you're lying there trying not to die. And even when you're walking, even when you're getting exercise, part of the eat, drink, walk that we talked about yesterday or the day before, even when you're walking, even when you're exercising, your mind is occupied with other things. Mostly trying really hard not to collapse. But this issue of culture is fascinating to me. It always has been. I've got, dozens of books on leadership and management, culture, principles and values in the bookshelf right above my desk. And it's something that I've been, obsessing over for quite some time, because as the owner of a small business, you try and figure out what can you do to build an organization that will work not only for you but for the people who work there and for your clients as well. And one of the things that you realize, or at least I realized before it was too late, was that you can teach someone what to do. You can teach someone how to do it, but you can't teach someone how to care about doing it well. If you hire somebody who's got a great attitude, somebody who cares, somebody who's attentive, somebody who's got the right values, who shares your goals and objectives and your vision, you can train them on what to do and how to do it. You might even be able to convince them why you're doing it. But you have to hire somebody that cares if you want to shortcut that process, because it takes a long time otherwise. And I got to tell you something from personal experience, that there are many times when you're not successful. The other thing about culture is that it's trickle down. It comes from the top. It's got to be exemplified by every action. that's taken by leadership and management of the company. I learned very early that if I wanted the place to be clean, my place, my shop to be clean, and I saw a piece of paper on the floor, I had to pick it up. I had to be responsible for picking it up. If people saw me pick up that one piece of paper, they would pick up papers as well. It's something to think about because it's something that you and I, everybody, encounters every day. And I think it's important to note. I think it's important to applaud when it's done well, and I think it's something worth calling out when it's not. Although the times that I get to call it out are times when I'm alone, because I get the elbow. If I start to, Lesley can tell when I'm about to go off, and I get the elbow. And right now I can't stand to get another bruise. So in the meantime, we're going to tell you to stay well, take care. Think about that. It's an interesting subject, I think. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.